Moving through our practice this morning as well. So let's come onto our mats and then just come to lay down if that feels okay. You can have a pillow or a blanket near you if you get cold. And then as you come to lay down, just kind of take a few moments to like wiggle around a little bit, feel your whole body kind of melt into the floor. Let your arms come out by your side, and you can keep your knees bent and place your feet on the mat, and maybe even walk the feet a little wider, and just allow the knees to start to knock towards each other. So anything I give, if you come into it and it feels really uncomfortable, or if there's any pain especially, make sure you back out of it. So another option here is to just keep the knees pointing up to the sky and not adding that little bit of internal rotation. You can start to close the eyes or just find a softness through your gaze. And just beginning to settle into the space this morning. Just starting to check in with your mind, your body, and your breath. Allow your inhales to create a little bit of space in the body. And as you exhale, feel like you're melting just a little bit more into the floor. So of course, if you're taking that modification in the chair today, just allowing the hands to rest on the thighs. Noticing the parts of your body that are connected to the chair, noticing the parts of your body that are connected to the floor. And if you come across any places that feel a little tight or a little resistant to that release, maybe just pausing your attention there. Maybe sending a breath or two there. Just taking a few more moments here, just being with your breath. Just feeling the air come in and the air go out. Just one more deep breath here. And just starting to wiggle your fingers. Maybe gently rock the knees a little bit from side to side. So starting to add a little bit of motion into the lower part of your body. And then if it feels okay on your shoulders, just start to slide your arms up a little bit. It's almost think like you're making a snow angel and you're sliding the arms up as far as they'll go until you feel like you've met a nice spot. So my arms are like in a Y, like a really big Y, but it's just getting a little bit of a different stretch on the fronts of my shoulders. And your arms might also be a little different. So if one is a higher than the other, that's okay. We've all got some stuff in our bodies. Your sides are totally different. And you can keep rocking the knees from side to side. And then make sure your feet are a little bit wider than your hips. And you'll gradually start to make that rock bigger and bigger. So maybe your opposite hip starts to come with you. And then the next time your knees find the right side, just pause. So allow the knees to get heavy. Feel as if that left knee is gently trying to reach a little bit more forward, really lengthening the left side of your body. If it's too much, you can always walk the feet closer together and just or further apart. That's just going to change the angle of the twist and the rotation. So this one has the wider your feet are, the less rotation in the spine and the more focus on the hips here. And just take one more breath. See if you can soften just a little bit deeper. And then allow the knees to come all the way back up to the sky, pressing into the feet. You can keep the arms where they are. If you want to maybe take that a little bit wider, keep reaching the arms up a little bit higher. Again, you're just making those snow angel wings bigger. And then again, rock the knees a little bit from side to side. You might notice a subtle difference, you might not. And then when the knees find the left side, you'll pause. And just allow the knees to get nice and heavy. Again, you can change how close the feet are or how far apart they are. But see if you can bring that attention to the right side of your body. Just trying to find a little bit more length, a little bit more space. Check in with your breath. Always bringing yourself back to those inhales and exhales. Just take one more breath here. Maybe let this be your deepest position of this gentle twist. And then press into the feet. Let the knees come back up to the sky. And start to slide your arms back down by your hips. Maybe turn the palms to the ground. Again, just kind of gently changing the rotation of the shoulder joint. And then keep the knees pointing up to the sky and reach the arms up to the sky. And then you'll give yourself a hug with the arms. Some crossing at the elbows. Feeling like you're trying to reach towards the shoulder blades. It doesn't matter if you actually get there. So notice that space between the shoulder blades on the floor, or on the back of the chair, if you're in a chair, as if you're trying to pull the shoulder blades apart. Finding a little bit more rounding in the upper back. And just take one breath here. When you find that space, see if you can soften a little bit into it. I know that when I get there, I'm working a little hard and I kind of create a little bit more tension than I mean to. So just inviting a breath to release. And then reach the arms back up to the sky. Remember which elbow you had on top, and you're going to give yourself a hug again, but just switch which elbow is on top. It's a very subtle difference in the back. And again, focus on pulling the shoulder blades apart, just creating that space between the shoulder blades, allowing it to press into the floor. And just one more breath here. And then reach the arms all the way back up to the sky and allow them to come down to the floor. And start to hug your knees into the chest. You can bring one knee at a time, nice and gentle. You can rock the knees a little bit from side to side, feeling that soft massage on the lower back. And then reach your right arm up overhead and you're just gonna roll onto your right side. So coming into that fetal position on the right side. If you're in your chair, just pausing there. If you're on the floor, just taking a moment, feeling the weight lift up off of the spine. And then just starting to press yourself all the way up, coming into a comfortable seat. So if you need a little extra support in this seat, you can always come sit on a blanket or on a pillow. If it's comfortable for you, you can cross the legs. If it's not, if you've got any stuff in the knees, you can always just keep the legs straight out in front of you. So just sitting the spine up nice and tall. Let your fingertips come by your side. You can keep your eyes soft. And then just start to roll the shoulder heads back. So feeling like you're trying to lift those shoulders all the way up to your ears like you're wearing earrings. And then roll them the other way. So it's okay if things are a little bit more crackly as it starts to get cold outside. Everything gets a little more tight. And then relax the arms and reach the arms all the way up to the sky. If you're in your chair, you'll just move the arms with us. And then release the arms all the way down. And so try to use that inhale to reach the arms all the way up. And exhale brings the arms all the way down. One more, reach the arms all the way up, leave the arms up and interlace your hands above your head and then turn the palms to the ceiling. So really feeling that stretch through the arms, feel both sides of your body lengthen and then take a gentle lean over to the right. Come back to the middle and lean over to the left. And then come back to the middle, keep that interlace, just turn your palms down and then start to reach your arms forward. But remember when we were on the floor, try to feel like you're trying to pull the shoulder blades apart and really send the arms towards the front of your space. And then reach the arms all the way back up to the sky. Bring the shoulder blades a little bit more together. Reach the arms forward, creating some space between the shoulder blades. And then reach the arms all the way back up to the sky. One more, reach the arms forward, create space in the back body. And then reach the arms all the way back up to the sky. Release your hands and let them come all the way back to the floor. You can roll out your wrists, wiggle your fingers. And then bring your hands in front of you and just slowly start to walk your hands forward. So the moment your hips start to lift away from the floor, that's where you're gonna pause. And you can release the upper body. If you're in a chair, you'll just keep your hands on tops of your knees and start to fold forward. And maybe it's a very soft fold, just rounding the upper body, releasing the head and the neck. Maybe the fingertips dangle towards the floor. And notice and check in with your breath. And just start to walk your hands over to the right. So you're still in that fold, you're just adding a little bit more in the side body here. Again, if that left hip starts to come with you, you'll just back up a little bit. And maybe you're even actively pressing the left hip down, just creating that slight resistance and tension into the stretch. And walk your hands back to the middle and over to the other side. And remember, your sides can be different. Try to find a place where you feel a gentle stretch, but where you're not forcing it, where you're not creating a lot of tension. Coming to a place where you can soften a bit. And walk your hands all the way back to the middle. And all the way in towards your legs. Bring your hands behind you. And uncross your legs and extend the legs out in front of you. Just kind of shake them out. You can rock the feet, flop them. Remember which leg you had in front. And then switch sides. So you're going to bring that other leg in front. So basically go for what one is habitual and then switch. If you can't remember which one was in front. Should probably feel a little weird, and that's okay. Reach the arms all the way up to the sky. Feel that nice stretch. And then exhale, release the arms down. Reach the arms all the way up. And then release the arms down. Just one more. Inhale to reach up. And exhale to release them down. Walk your hands in front of you. So we're going to take that same fold that we did before, just a different shin is in front. So walk the hands forward. The moment your hips start to come with you, that's where you'll pause. And it might feel really different from side to side. There might be just a subtle difference. There might not be any difference. And maybe just taking a moment to notice that. You're not judging it. And just walk your hands over to the right. So again, just adding that little bit of side body here. And walk your hands back towards the middle and over to the other side. Just one more breath here. Walk your hands back to the middle and then slowly all the way in. And again, take your hands behind you, send the legs out in front of you and shake them out. You can always bend them and rock them a little bit from side to side. There's no right or wrong movement here. And let's start to make our way into a tabletop position. So coming onto your hands and your knees. If you need extra padding underneath the knees, please place a blanket there, especially if you're on hardwood floor, it might be a little rough. And as you come into that tabletop position, just take a moment to bring your attention to your hands. And maybe you just shift the weight a little bit into the hands and a little bit out of the hands, and maybe even start to make some circles with that upper body. So just gently getting into the wrists. If this is too much weight on the wrist, you can always lift the heel of the hand up and then just keep the weight in the fingertips. But I do encourage you to invite movement at the wrists. Those wrist joints can get pretty tight. If you're adding that circle, be sure to go the other way. And then pausing back in the middle. And then just start to turn your fingertips out. So maybe they just turn out to the side. And then again, invite that little bit of movement in. So just a little bit of a different angle on the wrists. There's no right or wrong movement here. And if it's too much to keep the hands kind of just stable and still, you can always just kind of find this constant movement here and constantly moving the hands around. I kind of like this one sometimes. You're turning the fingers in and forward and out. But we use our hands for everything. We don't work our hands a lot, so they get a little tight and constricted. We've all been spending more time on our computers lately. Then just take another breath or two wherever you're moving, if you're still and moving, or if you're just kind of planting those hands on the ground. And then start to sit back on your heels. And then just again, roll the wrists out, wiggle the fingers. Yeah. And then reach your right arm forward like you're trying to tell someone to stop. And then turn the fingertips towards the ground, and you can take your left hand and just gently tap on the fingers as if you're trying to send the heel of the hand forward. You don't have to keep your arm totally straight either. You might want a little bend into it. So this is inviting a little bit more stretch on the back of the forearm here. Doesn't have to be a lot to feel it. And then we'll just switch sides. So turn the left hand forward, fingertips down, just gently sending the heel of the hand forward. And then release that, and again, you can roll out the wrist, shake out the hands. We're gonna come back into that tabletop position. If you're in your chair, you'll just bring your hands to the tops of the knees. We're gonna move through some cat-cows. And you can do this in your chair seated. So you'll start to drop the belly, feel your heart pull forward. And then around the spine, let your chin come towards your chest. Really press the floor away. Drop the belly, look forward, feel your heart pull forward. And then use your exhale to round the spine. Couple more rounds, moving at your own pace. You can move really slow, you can move a little quicker, but just try to invite your breath to guide you. Let's do one more round. You get one more cat and one more cow in. And then come back into that neutral tabletop position and extend your right leg back. So keep the toes curled under and just press back through the heels. So you can press and hold or bounce a little bit in and out. If at any point this gets to be too much on the wrists, you can always drop onto the forearms. Just get a little bit more support here. And just bringing your attention to the leg. And if you're in your chair, you'll just extend your leg forward with the heel on the floor and maybe just point and flex the foot. And then switch sides. Extend your left leg back. And then bring both knees back onto the floor. Move through a round of cat-cow here. So just moving the spine, dropping the belly to look forward. And then rounding the spine. Come back into that neutral tabletop position. So again, extend your right leg back. This time you're gonna lift the leg up and step the foot forward. So it doesn't have to be in one fell swoop. Just get it up there. And you'll walk your hands up onto your thigh. So again, check in with your back knee. If you need extra padding, add a blanket there. Or you can always flip the side of your mat in if you don't have a blanket nearby. And then just like we were kind of pulsing a little bit with that foot back, kind of rock in and out of this. Really press into your right foot. Finding that stability there and just slowly creating a little more space in the front of the left hip. And then find a spot where you feel good to pause. So maybe it's a little back, maybe it's a little forward, maybe it's somewhere in the middle. You can keep your hand on your thigh or even bring your hands to your hips. I want you to really press into that right foot, really press into the ball of the right foot, and then just start to lift the heel up. So it might lift up a centimeter, it might lift up 12 feet, but notice how your balance shifts. And if you feel really unsteady and it's too much, just keep the heel down, but I invite you to be light in the heel. So try to feel the weight shift towards the front of the foot. Really feel the fingertips grip. And then place the heel back down, reach the arms all the way up to the sky. And reach the right arm back and the left arm forward, coming into a twist. So your whole body is still upright. Head and shoulders and hips are all aligned. Feeling that rotation from the middle of your back. Reach the arms all the way up. And then bring the hands back to the floor and bring your right foot back to meet your left. You can stay in tabletop position if down dog feels good for you. Curl your toes under and start to lift your hips up and back. You can always keep a bend into the knees. Don't feel like you have to straighten through the legs. If the inversion, because your heart is above your head, is too much, just stay in that tabletop position. And maybe even pedal out the feet a little bit. You might notice a little difference on the sides. And then start to walk your hands and your feet towards each other. So meeting in this forward fold in the middle of your mat. Keep your feet wide. Keep a little bend into the knees. Let the upper body get really heavy. Again, if this inversion, the heart above the head is too much, I want you to just stay in this halfway lift. So bring your hands onto your legs and keep the gaze forward and down. So you're actually working the back body a little bit more, but you're not putting your body in that inversion. Press into your feet and slowly come all the way up to stand. So where my head gets cut off, but you don't need to see my head. Reach your arms all the way up to the sky. So just like we did when we were sitting. And then bring your hands around behind your back and find an interlace. So your thumbs can rest on your low back. You can keep it bent into the elbows. If it's too much with the hands, you can always hold on to the wrists or the forearms. If you're feeling good there, keep focusing on rolling the shoulder heads back. Maybe you start to feel like the arms are trying to pull away from the body. Just opening up through the front body a little more. And then let your chin drop towards your chest there. Keep focusing on rolling the shoulder heads down and back, no matter where the elbows are at, no matter where the hands are at. And then gently lift the head up, release the hands, reach the arms back up to the sky. You're gonna hinge at the hips, come back towards that forward fold or that halfway lift if we don't wanna find that inversion. Keep a little bend into your knees. Bring the hands all the way to the floor and come back to a tabletop position. And start to bring your knees wide and your feet together. Send your hips towards your heels for a child's pose. If child's pose is not comfortable, you can come into a cross-legged seat, or you can even just sit up on your heels if that feels okay. But be really passive here. So trying to use as little effort as possible. Take a moment. We're moving a little bit more now, so just observe your breath. Take that pause. Take one more breath here. And then start to make your way back towards that tabletop position and lift your hips up and back to your down dog. Again, you can pedal out the feet. And we're gonna step your left foot forward. So you can come back towards the tabletop and step your foot forward from there. If you wanna play with stepping it from down dog, you'll step that left foot forward and drop the back knee down. Again, add that extra padding if you need. Bring your hands to your thigh. And then the first few moments we're here, we'll rock in and out. Just nice and slowly creating that space. Maybe 1 or 2 more rocks. And then you'll find that sweet spot that feels good for you to pause. Really feel your front foot press down. So again, even if you're not going to lift the heel, I want you to focus on trying to shift the weight towards the front of your left foot. And then maybe that heel slowly starts to lift up. Your sides are totally different. I know mine are. So you might be a little more shaky, a little less shaky here. Really feel the toes grip down. Find your focus, find your breath. And then bring the heel down. Reach the arms all the way up so you can press into the heel for stability and support. And come into that twist. Reach the left arm back, right arm forward. Really pressing down into the legs. That's your stability. Reach the arms all the way up. Bring the hands to the floor. Bring the left foot back. And you can come into that down dog. Or stay in tabletop or even find a child's pose. And then again, walk your hands and feet towards the middle of your mat. You can stay in that halfway lift to avoid the inversion, or you can let the upper body fold all the way in. Maybe even rock the weight from side to side. And press into your feet, come all the way to stand. Reach the arms all the way up to the sky. And bring your hands again to interlace at your low back. So this time, see if you can find the awkward interlace. So go with what you naturally do, but then move every finger over one. It should feel really weird, especially if you don't ever do it. And so because you have a different interlace with the hands, your positioning might be different than the other side. Just focus on rolling the shoulder heads back, creating a little bit of space in the front body. Maybe the elbows start to straighten, maybe they don't. And this time, lift that gaze up to the sky. Just one piece at a time. And bring your head back to neutral. Release the hands, reach the arms up. Then you'll come back to that fold or that halfway lift. Nice and slow movement. We're not in any rush to get anywhere. Bring the hands to the floor. Bring your knees onto the floor. And come back towards that child's pose or any version that feels good for you to pause. So start to sit up and to sit on your heels. And now you can always have your hands forward. You don't have to be all the way on your heels. You're gonna lean the weight a little forward and curl your toes under. And then maybe this is where you stay. This can be a little intense, so I want you to move really mindfully into it. And then nice and slow, just slowly start to shift the weight back to the feet. Again, you can keep your hands forward. If this is feeling okay and you want to take it deeper, maybe you lift the upper body up, right? So getting a really nice stretch through the bottom of the feet. And again, it don't have to go that deep into it. You can even be pretty much in a tabletop position here, or you can be all the way seated. Notice your breath. Let's just take 2 more breaths here. And then take the weight out of the feet, uncurl the toes, and maybe kind of just slap the feet on the ground. Roll out those ankles. And you're gonna come all the way to lay on your stomach. So again, you can always have extra padding there. If it doesn't feel good to lay on your stomach, but it feels okay to lay on your back, you can come onto your back and I'll just show you a modification. If you're in your chair, just sit up nice and tall in your chair and I'll also tell you where to go. But if you're on your belly, just make a pillow with your hands. Then you can bring your forehead to that pillow. If you're on your back, let your legs extend out in front of you. If you're on your chair, again, just pausing there, finding your breath wherever you're at. So for those of you that are on your belly, you're gonna just bring your right knee out to the side. So the inside of the leg is gonna be on the floor. Yeah. And think that that knee is gonna be at about a 90-degree angle. You can always have the foot out a little bit more or in a little bit more. And then just stay here on your belly. If you're on your back, if you're on your belly, stay on, just adjusting to show where to be. If you're on your back, you're gonna keep that left foot extended in front of you and then bring your right leg into a butterfly. And then maybe you even make it a wide butterfly. So we're just focusing on getting that inside of the leg. That's all we want here. And if you're in your chair, I don't have a chair here, so I'm just gonna show it on my back. You're gonna come into a figure 4 in your chair. Again, you're getting into that inner thigh, and then maybe you're leaning a little bit forward. So crossing the ankle over the top of the knee. And wherever you are, this should feel like you can come into a much more passive place, using as little effort as possible. If you're on your back, this option only works if you're on your, if you're on your belly. This option only works if you're on your belly. If you want to go a little bit deeper into the back, you can prop up onto your forearms like I am here. Could be really subtle. It could be a huge difference. We're just going to take 2 more breaths wherever you are at. So you'll just slowly start to come out of that side, bring the legs to meet. And then find your way into the other side. So if you're on your belly, that left knee is going to come out to the side. If you're on your back, you're going to now take that left leg into your butterfly. And if you're on your chair, you're going to take that left leg, that left ankle on top of the right knee for that figure 4. Just keep noticing and observing your breath. Let's take 2 more rounds of breath here. If you want to, you can add that little bit of a back bend if you're on your belly, propping up onto your forearms if you haven't already. And then slowly start to bring yourself out of the side. If you're on your belly, you can bend your knees and just windshield wiper those legs from side to side. If you're on your back, feet on the floor, and same thing, rocking the knees from side to side. If you're on your back, stay where you are, because we're all going to meet you there. And just press yourself up into a tabletop position if you're on your belly. And maybe take a couple rounds of cat-cow, just kind of letting the spine neutralize again. Maybe even just kind of rocking the hips from side to side. And then you'll start to make your way all the way to lay down on your back. And when you get there, hug your knees in towards your chest. Maybe rock the knees a little bit from side to side. Excuse me. And then let the feet come onto the floor. And press into all 4 corners of the feet. Let your arms come by your side. And then just gently lift the hips away from the floor. Really press down into the feet. Really press into the shoulder blades. Really engage through the back body. And then lower your hips all the way to the floor. Pause. And gently rock the knees just to help neutralize. Extend the right leg up to the sky and roll the ankle. Roll it the other way. Wiggle the toes. Release the foot down and switch sides. Extend the left leg up. Roll the ankle. Wiggle the toes. And then place the foot back on the floor. Start to walk the soles of the feet together. Let the knees drop wide. Coming into butterfly legs. Let the palms open up to the sky. We're just going to take 2 breaths here. And then keep the palms open up to the sky. Maybe take your arms a little wider, so think about your snow angel. And then let the knees come back up to the sky. Walk your feet a little bit apart. So we're gonna make our way into our final Shavasana. You can stay with the knees pointing up to the sky. If you have a pillow nearby and you want to slide it underneath your knees, go for it. Or you can extend your legs out long if that feels all right on your lower spine. If you don't want your legs extended out really long, if you want a little bit more lengthening through the lower back and you're right next to your couch, you can always put your feet up on the couch. That's really nice as well. So just take a moment or two to settle into a place where you can pause and release. And if being on your back is just not comfortable, don't feel like you have to stay there. You can always roll onto your side and take your Shavasana from there. Or even rolling onto your belly. You know your body best. And when you do find that place to pause, take a deep inhale in and exhale to soften into the space even more. Just taking these last few minutes of class in complete and total gratitude for your practice today. Shavasana. And just starting to bring some awareness back into this space. And just starting to bring some awareness back into your body. And just starting to feel your next breath, feeling the air come in. And the air go out. Inviting small movements back in. Wiggling your fingers and your toes. Rolling out wrists and ankles. Rocking your head from side to side. And then in your own way, starting to make your way all the way up into a comfortable seat. So you're in no rush, just taking your time to get there. Moving nice and slow and intentionally. You can keep the eyes closed, keeping your focus inside. Starting to bring your hands to your heart center, gently bow your head. Thanking yourself for making it to your mat today, for your practice, for your energy, for your breath, and most importantly, for yourself. Namaste.